Okay, second part of 7.2 is this. 42, take a look at 42 and then pause this and then try it out, see if you can figure it out. If you can't figure it out, I'll be on with how to do 72 in just a moment. So here we go. Try 42, number A, letter A. Try 42 to A. Here we go. 42, letter A. All right, so here we go. All right, so as we go to do this, I'm going to note that this stuff up here tells me something. It tells me that I have a graph from 0 to 3 of f of x dx, and it has an area of the curve of 4. So if I had this graph, I would go to 3, from 0 to 3, this area is 4. And then it says, and from 3 to 6, the same function is equal, dx is equal to -1, which means from 3 to 6, whatever it's doing, its net area is 1 on the below the axis thing, which means if I was going to integrate from here all the way to 6, I would have an area of 4 for this section, and I'd have an area of -1 for this section. So the integral from 0 to 6 of f of x dx would be equal to 3. Okay? Okay, go ahead and try B without me, and then I'll be right back. Okay, pause, do your thing, 10, then, until you can try B, and then we'll get together. Okay. All right, hopefully you paused it and you got it ready. Okay, so this one's a little different. It's 6 to 3. Now, this is something really I haven't spent enough time talking about, but let's talk about it now. 6 to 3, why is this backwards? Well, because when we do 0 to 3, we're saying starting here, going to here. Well, what happens when I go from 6 starting to 3 starting? I'm doing it backwards, right? And that's a little weird. But if you think about it for a half second, you can say things like, well, that's nice, but this is like the amount of, let's go back to our analogy of the water in the tub, right? If this is a situation where I've got water in my tub, from 0 to 3, 4 cubic feet of water is in my tub. Then from 3 to 6, somehow I've drained some, right? And so my total was 3 from 0 to 6. That's our narrative, that's our story for this. But what happens if I go from 6 to 3? I'm using my video camera and going backwards. If I go backwards, instead of losing, if I run the film backwards, instead of losing one down the drain, I would watch my tub and I'd notice it fill up with 1. Okay? So when you do an integral backwards, you end up doing the inverse, the opposite of what happened, right? So if I lose 1 going from 3 minutes to 6 minutes, I would gain 1 if I went backwards from 6 to 3, like running the videotape backwards. And so that is how we figure out that one. Okay, ready to try C? I'll give you 10 seconds. Go ahead and pause it. And then when you're done pausing it, go ahead and try C, and then we'll do C together in just a second. Let's do C. C is the area starting at 3 and ending at 3. Well, that's really weird, because how can you have area when you start at 3 and end at 3? And the answer is you can't. So the answer to that would be just plain old 0. Right? Because you're talking about how big is the sliver, no matter what it looks like. At 3, if I go from 3 to 3, there's no width. There's no width, there can be no area. Therefore, there can be no integral or no water through. And then the way to look at it, an analogy is if you've got water filling up a tub, and if I want to know how much water fills a tub between 3 minutes and 3 minutes, the answer is none, because there's no time that's gone by, right? Okay, we try D. I'm going to let you pause it up and then go ahead and work on D, and then we'll do D together. We'll do D together. All right, so hopefully you pause it, you try D. Let's try D. So I now know I've got an integral from 3 to 6 of -5 f of x dx. And we're in agreement there? Okay, so I know the following. We know that derivatives and antiderivatives follow some of the same rules. Specifically, when I take a derivative, I can pull that -5 out. And so when I do an integral, I can do the same thing. It's doing nothing. I can reapply it at the very end, right? Even if I go backwards, I can still apply it at the very end. We know that this is -1. So then we get -5 times -1, and that would be 5. And that's the answer, okay? So -5 times the integral from 3 to 6, well, that's going to be -1. So -1 times -5 gives me 5. Hopefully that's sufficient for you to figure out these problems. You are to hopefully do 44, and that'll work out.